Our next story is from the South China Sea. We often say the next war could be fought here, and not without reason. Let me tell you what happened over the weekend. Two ships collided, one Chinese and the second from the Philippines. It was a dangerous collision and it was captured on camera. Take a look. You saw what happened there. A Chinese vessel ramming into a Philippine Coast Guard ship. At least two such collisions were reported, and Manila blames Beijing for this. Specifically, they blame the Chinese militia. They're an extension of the Chinese state, the Chinese militia, and China uses this militia to enforce its claims on the South China Sea. In recent months, they have stepped up such operations. China has become more aggressive. It's been involved in many tense encounters. Chinese ships have bumped into Philippine vessels. The PLA has fired water cannons on them. They've even tried to intercept ships. And the Chinese Coast Guard has been making threats. Take a look at this video now.
Your champagne is locked. Your champagne is not allowed. Entered reefs. Tell them, leave immediately. Tell them, leave immediately.
Leave immediately. So wawa po eh.
Your activity, your any activity, in this water is illegal. It's not allowed.
Kaya buwan ang umok. Wadi Amil.
This video is from last month. A Filipino boat was at the Scarborough Shoal. The Chinese Coast Guard was there too. They threatened the Filipinos. The Scarborough Shoal is part of the South China Sea, as you would know. The Philippines claims it, but China controls it, and it blocks the access of others. First, China gives verbal warnings. When they're ignored, Chinese ships make provocative moves. They bump into ships from the Philippines. Do you know how many times this has happened? At least 55 times. 55 times this year alone. So today, Manila summoned the Chinese ambassador. It registered a formal protest. It said China is targeting its ships intentionally.
The National Task Force West Philippine Sea, led by National Security Advisor Secretary Eduardo M. Año, condemned in the strongest degree the latest dangerous, irresponsible, and illegal blocking maneuvers of the China Coast Guard in concert with the Chinese maritime militia yesterday morning that caused it to collide with the Philippine resupply boat Unay Samay 2.
But diplomatic protests do not help. Beijing pays no attention to them because it doesn't recognize Manila's claims. Let me also explain where all of this is happening. This is the South China Sea. It is a massive region spread across 3.6 million square kilometers. It has over 250 islands, atolls, cays, shoals, reefs. China stakes claim to 90% of this area, 90%. It says 90% of this area is Chinese. And this is a controversial claim, if not an outright lie. It has no basis in fact or law. 5 other regional players have competing claims: the Philippines, Malaysia, Vietnam, Brunei, and Taiwan. Their claims overlap with China's, but Beijing refuses to acknowledge them. In 2016, the Philippines went to court, to an international tribunal, and the result was this. The court ruled in Manila's favor. It said China's claims have no basis. That's what the court said. Guess what China did? It rejected the verdict, and it decided to double down. Instead of dropping its false claims, China began deploying its military. It started encircling the atolls and building artificial islands large enough to host tankers and warships. Some of them have been militarized, complete with airfields and defense equipment. And now it is resorting to coercion, threatening ships from the Philippines, trying to keep them away by force. Manila has a term for these tactics. It says China is using quote-unquote brute force. In response, Manila has also launched a counter-campaign. It sends ships with cameras. It encourages journalists to report from these disputed waters. The idea is to capture China's activities on video and broadcast these clips to the world. Of course, Beijing does not like it. It accuses Manila of running a smear campaign.
China once again urges the Philippines to take China's solemn concerns seriously and honor its commitment and stop creating tensions at sea. Stop taking dangerous actions, stop attacking and smearing China, and tow away the naval vessels illegally grounded as soon as possible. This will avoid undermining peace and stability in the South China Sea.
China says it will, quote-unquote, protect its sovereignty, and that means more dangerous encounters on the high seas. Manila's tactics have exposed China's coercion, but this strategy is like a double-edged sword. If they push China too far, they risk an escalation and a bigger face-off that all sides can ill afford.